go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be working in PySpark. Let's go ahead and bring up the Spark project. So if you're not familiar with Spark yet, it's a really popular open source big data analytics system, and it has a Python interface, which is the one we're going to be using today. Today we are getting ready for a talk that I'm going to be giving in New York, JupyterCon. It's what things are correlated with gender diversity. I dig through ASF and Jupyter projects. And while we're using Spark, most of what I'm going to actually be doing is just pretty standard data munging. And so you can see here we've got the number of authors by project, but we can also see if we look at sort of some of our author sampling, there might be some sort of essentially duplicates, right? I myself have committed work to Apache Spark under many different email addresses, and the current thing that we're doing is assuming that each email address is a unique person. And so what I'm going to try and see if I can do today, and I'm not actually super sure if I can or not, we'll figure that out, is see if we can go from email address to GitHub ID. And we'll use the GitHub ID in the cases where that's present to do some essential deduplication. So this is mailing list data, which we'll analyze later for sentiment and some other things. But we're going to get started with the, let's go up here. Oh, actually, you know what we could do? Well, I'm going to save this part for later. This is the tone analyzer. I want to rewrite this to use the new pandas acceleration stuff, but it's not currently supported in this notebook form on top of DataProc that's coming soon. So we'll save that one for a little bit once that's actually available. So we are going to go ahead. We can see we did some things to extract information from CrunchBase. Yeah, okay, so here we've got our raw information about the authors. I'm actually going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more so that people can see. And so this right now, we group together by project name and email address, and then we get distinct authors. And so distinct authors, latest commit. But let's actually go ahead and run show on this. And that should give us sort of an idea of what we're looking at. And show won't actually materialize the entire data frame, which is convenient because this could be quite big. It'll just materialize the part that we are looking at. Although, well, let's see if interesting. So that's the, damn it, I hope, it looks like I didn't save this anywhere. So, yeah, we have a save on the raw Git data itself, which is good, but we don't have this part actually saved, which we maybe should, because this is clearly taking a while to run. But let's go ahead and open up the GitHub API, look up user ID by email. This isn't quite what I want. This gives me listing emails for a user. Let's see here. Maybe we can do a search users. I don't actually know for sure if this is going to give us what we want. But let's see what we can do. Here we go. Searching users. So, yeah. This looks like probably pretty close to what we want. We're gonna take the users' email addresses and look them up into their GitHub accounts. So let's take a look. So this is taking a really long time. 10.138. I'm actually going to go and take a look. Oh, I don't actually want the name node though. I want the yarn home port. We're gonna hit stop on this one because this is taking too long. Insert cell below. Cool. Spark UI. Oh no, I want to open this in a new page for sure. So let's go ahead. Nope, damn it! It didn't open it in a new page. Okay, well, whatever. We can go ahead and actually kill that job, which we kicked off, which is convenient. When it works, it looks like it's not going to work for us today. So that's slightly inconvenient. So that job will continue to run in the background, which is, I mean, it's unfortunate, but we have enough resources in our cluster. It doesn't super matter. So let's go ahead and find show. Okay. So let's go PyPy, GitHub API. I don't know if I had. Okay, let's go to PyPy.org and search GitHub. There's a bunch of different ones. Let's go for something that's most recently up to date. Yeah, lots of things reference GitHub, which are not actually GitHub API tools. That's inconvenient. Project description is unknown. Release history is 2015. That's probably not going to work out super great for us. It says GitHub 2. There is a GitHub 3 API though. But let's try GitHub v3 and see if we get anything. No, this says it's v2. Licenses, license.txt, that's not good enough. Or more accurately, let's take a look. GitHub API, Python. Okay, PyGitHub is probably the one that we want, assuming that the license is good. License. Okay. Copying. It's GPL. v3. Since this is in a notebook environment, we're okay. GPL v3. Search. Let's okay. Test search. Cool. This looks promising. this probably does what we want it to do. So that's pretty exciting. Because if we see this, it looks like it works. Let's go ahead and install it if it's not already installed. Let's find my imports here. Oh, yeah. Looks like we don't import it right now. Maybe it's already installed though. Import PyGithub. Do from GitHub. Import. Yeah, not installed. Okay. So, do I have Coffee Boat? So, I need to add this project, and normally I actually have a tool to do this, and it looks like for some reason I'm not using my own tool, which is unfortunate, but for now it's fine. Just manually pip install PyGithub. The catch is this is only going to install it on our driver program. And we actually probably need this in a bunch of other places too. And that's inconvenient. Let's see actually if I have Coffee Boat installed. Import. So Coffee Boat is this kind of sketchy project that I work on. Enter our Coffee Boat, and so there's a sample notebook of it, and essentially what it allows us to do. This will just take a second. This should just take a second. Is have dependencies installed, sort of dynamically, which is the use case we have here, which is, I'm part of the way through working on a notebook. But I want to do a thing, and it looks like I don't actually have Coffee Boat installed, which is unfortunate. Thankfully, technically, we could do it this way. What I'll probably do is save this for later, because I know I have a setup script, which I use on this cluster. And we'll just update the setup script to install Coffee Boat, and that would be a little bit better. Actually, let's go ahead and see here if diversity analytics. So here is the setup script, which is run on everything, and this actually does install a bunch of things. And that's fine. The only thing is I didn't actually install my own tool to handle this problem, which I now have. So let's go ahead and update jupyter.sh, and you can see here, once upon a time I accidentally shared some of my secrets, so we do this separately here. And so we're going to go in and we're going to do, oh, that's why. So this is why I wasn't using Coffee Boat. I forgot that we were installing the Vader lexicon for NLTK, and right now Coffee Boat doesn't really handle this case super well, which is why we're sort of doing it with this kind of manual shell script, and the same thing for Spacey. And these are two things that I both need to add support for in Coffee Boat. We can actually see that there's some issues here, I think, for that. Well, I think there's some issues in here for that. And so since we don't have that, we're not actually going to be able to use that as a workaround for today. So pip install PyGithub instead. That's okay. And the next time I reboot this cluster, they'll all have their nodes in it. Although to get this to work, we're actually going to have to do a little bit of a hack, and it's not great, but we'll get to that hack once we've got our code working locally first. So let's go back down to where we were fetching the Git data. Cool. This is the part where we're extracting the email addresses. That's great. Okay. And so I'm going to do this after we've done the distinct one because I want to be respectful to GitHub, but also I don't want to overshoot my API limits. So def lookup GitHub user by email. Lookup GitHub user by email address and returns GitHub user ID. If no user is found, returns the email. And this is just because we're using it. We'll do it just this way. Returns none if no user is found. And we'll augment it, and then later on when we're doing our unique stuff, we'll fill in the nones. And there's actually Spark and a utils. And so Apache Spark. I don't want Nautilus, I want an A. Utils. And so there's a bunch of things to handle essentially missing data. And so none of these are, there we go. And so we would use this return a new data frame that replaces the null value in specified string columns. That's not quite what we want either. Okay, actually, so we're going to have to do this part manually later, because essentially what we're going to do is in the event that we can't find the username, we'll fall back to their email address for the purpose of deduplicating. But if we can find their email address, we won't. And these all just replace with a static thing rather than replacing one column with another. So it's unfortunately not quite what we want, but it'll do something for us. So let's go back here. And I'm going to do some quality copy and paste programming. We're actually going to go and look at the tests because that's search user. Because there were some tests in here which look pretty close to what we wanted to do. Cool. I think this is it. Okay. So, actually, we'll make this into a function momentarily. Let's just do this iteratively for now. Users is equal to GitHub. GitHub client. Okay, it looks like, I think there is a way to access it. For now, we're not going to use token equals. But if I do have to use a token, I'll just fill my own in, but I'll just have to switch it back to the be right back thing, so I don't have to rotate my GitHub tokens. Search users. So here, data in email. So I guess we would probably say zero in email. For now, I'm just going to give it my own email address because I know what that result should be, and let's see what happens. Cool. That's cool. That's not so cool. That's empty. Okay, let's try, we'll search for my username. Okay, so that worked. Well, what happens if we do just searching by email address? Okay, cool. I mean, that works too. So that's awesome. That works. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this back into a function. Format email. I'm gonna put this inside of a try block. Actually, let's find Python head option. So essentially, Python list head. That's not quite what I want. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, okay, actually, actually, yeah, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we'll do this. So what I want to do is see if there's a way, because it's not actually returning a list, I was turning it into a list. So I'm gonna see if there's what methods are on the thing that it returns to me. So paginated, does it give me a size? It does have a size of. So if we do size users, len, users dot underscore. Yeah, okay, no, that's not the size that we're looking for. Does it have next? Oh, it has total count. So users dot total count. Cool. So here we go. If users.totalCount, return none. So we're going to switch this if no user or an ambiguous number or more than one user is found. And so essentially if there's 2 users with the same email address, I don't know what to do, so we're just going to set it to none. Oh, I should run. Just give me 1 second. Be right back. Never mind, turns out I've got another 20 minutes before I have to run away, so we can hopefully finish this part up really quickly. And I can show you the challenge associated with, once we need this library, actually installing it everywhere. And we'll do it with a little hack for now, and then I'll talk about CoffeeBoat briefly, and then we'll run away. Yeah, okay, so this should be live. So if user total count equals 1, return next users. Cool. Let's go ahead and let's run this. Cool. Make sure this works. Whatever. God damn it. Okay. Should actually probably do that. Cool. And that way, switch user ID to username. So that works. Let's check. Cool. Is none. Yeah, okay, cool. So that works more or less how we would expect. So that's great, and that would work just fine if we were running this locally. But because we're actually running this on a cluster, which may or may not actually have the module we need installed, we're going to do this. And this is a bit of a hack. Essentially what we do is say, hey, import this. Okay, this is a hack to handle the local install until CoffeeBoat is on the cluster. And essentially the reason why I don't want to use CoffeeBoat right now is the thing we were talking about with the NLTK dependency, which is a good motivation for me to fix that NLTK type issue with CoffeeBoat this week. And the other part is I essentially have to restart my cluster once, and then once it's restarted that one time, I can use it in general. And so instead, import OS. And so we go ahead, we use os.system, yeah, okay, we want subprocess.call, that's the ticket. Subprocess.call, pip install, and this assumes, of course, that the user we're running as has permission to install, and if it doesn't, there's really nothing we can do. Let's check this locally. Cool, that's what we would expect. And now comes our more fun part, which is this is distinct authors, last commit. And so we'll authors to GitHub, username. And so we will do its with column, I believe, is the expression that I want. With column, yeah. So we do with column, GitHub. No, it's, sorry. Oh, I should probably put some retry logic inside of here as well, just because there is some API. So before I run this on a distributed scale, I'll put some backoff logic in here so I don't just hammer their server, because that would be impolite. Okay, and so we do with column, GitHub, username, and then and with column, yeah, compute. Yeah, go ahead. And so now what we're doing is we're switching our local function into a UDF, which can be used across our cluster in Spark. And so we do this. Instead of returning an integer type, it returns a string type. String type. There we go. And it's going to take in, I think, email. Cool. Let's, I'm gonna go ahead and actually turn this into something multi-line so that I can read it more easily. Yeah. And we're gonna go ahead. And since this is hitting, oh right, before we run this, we were gonna go ahead and switch this to have some back-off logic. So try. This is not great, but and essentially we're just gonna have this sleep 10 minutes in there. That's probably fine. Then go ahead and run that, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually, persist, and and I'm going to use this function that I've made for myself. And essentially, it's because this cluster gets restarted sometimes, and I want these tables to stay around without having to look them up all the time. Oh, actually, I should fix that coffee boat thing here. Let's get rid of that. Sorry, I got distracted. Right, because this cluster gets restarted some of the time, and I want this to actually work. Yeah, this is not needed anymore either. I want to save this out, but if I've already successfully saved it out, I don't want to have to recompute it. So I have this non-blocking DataFrameSaver load, and essentially what this does is it says, if this data frame already exists, just go ahead and load it from this path. If it doesn't, save it out. And so we'll use that down here as well. And essentially I'm using this on data which is expensive and I want to keep around. It does of course mean that, when we rerun this, it'll use the old cached versions. And so, distinct authors, and okay, yeah, here we go. 0. Oh wait, no, this isn't what I want. I wanted to go down lower. Distinct authors, latest commit. So, authors to GitHub. And then we do .format, FS prefix. And the reason why I'm just allowing the FS prefix to be swapped around is I'm developing this in Google Cloud, but I also want to make it easy if anyone wants to run this somewhere else. They can just swap the FS prefix to HDFS or whatever it is they're using. And I think there was a third parameter. I don't remember. Looks like there's only 2. So let's go ahead and run that. Cool. Looks like it's running. And the fact that it's finished doesn't actually mean, so the cell shows as finished, but if we go and look at this on port 4040, we'll be able to see that the job is actually running, and this is going to take some time. And so it's saving out. This is probably actually going to take a while because the inputs to it haven't been computed. And so that's probably a pretty good stopping point for today, unless there's any questions. If anyone wants to tune in this week, later on this week on Friday, I'll be doing my regular code review session, and I'll be looking at the PySpark Kubernetes support, and for people looking at, and also, it's on Twitch. So yeah, you can follow me on Twitch or YouTube. And I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm going down to KubeCon Sao Paulo. And if you happen to be in Sao Paulo, I hope you join me. If you're in Cleveland, I'll be at PyCon Cleveland this Friday. And if you are at Scala Days, Berlin, I will be there next week. So thank you all for tuning in, and have a wonderful week. Let's go ahead and figure out where the stop button is.